I lied, everybody. We back on. We had another candidate for y'all. We got Mr. Jordan here, everybody. I'm gonna wait for the moderator to come before we really get into it, but y'all sing him.
Always what I viewed U.S. as, just a corporation for other countries to do tests of this or whatever they got going on. Is there a specific book you got this knowledge from, or just over time? Oh my God! I was trying to get into. I did a little bit of research. That was my church. But you know, when I was in the military, I rode past every time. I love that's your church. Can you give up? I don't want to just pop up because I ain't been in a long time, and I don't want to pop up and say, "Hey, yo, I love that church, yo. I love that y'all." He remembered me. He's a great guy. Matter of fact, if you show him that, I might. I know they at. I think they were right there where that food was. I used to call you Jim Vittoria. Is that you? Vittoria? On the other side. Which house were you in? You were in 304. You were in on the corner. Yeah, with Miss Scott. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, I mean, Scott. Right next door. Still do? No? What was like? You out there doing? Yeah, Paige. Yeah. I gotta get your picture before we go so I can send it to you. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So there's one.
He's ready? Okay, he's closing that one.
Hours that she had. I got you. Come on. I'll be disciplined. Y'all tell me the rules.
Pretty simple. We try to keep it within about 10 minutes. But if you go over, it's fine. It'll be the last one regardless.
Y'all ready to get started?
Yeah.
We thought we was leaving, but we had another candidate for everybody. If y'all,
Oh, y'all been hearing my whole conversation?
nah. We just plugged you in. We just plugged you in. Yes. Welcome back, everybody. We do have another candidate for you guys. We do have a special one. We got Mr. Rodney Jordan. I do want to say once again, make sure you go outside and register to vote if you're not already registered. thank you to Teens with a Purpose, and also thank you, Mr. Jordan, for blessing us with your presence again.
Absolutely. Thank you for doing this.
Okay. So I'm going to hand it over to my moderator, Charles. He got some questions for you.
All right. So first, do you want to, I guess, introduce yourself and let everyone know what you stand for?
Okay, sure. My name is Rodney Jordan. I've been a longtime resident in Norfolk. This is my grandson, Tariq Josiah. So you might hear him call me Ra-Ra, because that's what I'm known as, is Ra-Ra. And I've been working in Norfolk for quite a while on issues of equity and opportunity and justice and teen development. I'm no stranger to Teens with a Purpose. Spent a lot of time here as it moved to this building and has grown and expanded. So pretty much my theme as I run for city council on behalf of Ward 7 is, it's our city too, and it's our turn. And so it's been a lot of things that have taken place in the city for over the years, decisions that are made by council. They do matter. Your vote matters. We have to make sure that we do something a lot different. Right now, where we're sitting right here on Church Street in Olney, you take 2 blocks over and cross over Monticello or St. Paul's Boulevard. If you live where we're sitting right now, your life expectancy is 61 years of life. You go 2 blocks over, it's 83 years. So that's 20 years of life that we're talking about. And my expectation and my goal and my advocacy as a council is to make sure that we get our fair share so that the decisions that are made by the city help to uplift our community and not put a cap on our ability to rise.
Thank you for that. So what are your top priorities for the city, and how would you address them?
Well, as I mentioned, I think it begins with a mindset change. I believe for too long in our city and too long in Ward 7 in particular, we have accepted second-class status. We have been comfortable with where we are. So I'm a strong proponent of strong neighborhoods. I believe we need to change our mindset. Our children deserve the best. Our families deserve the best. I was speaking with a young lady who's maybe off screen to my right, who used to be my neighbor. And she knows growing up that just as I have my grandson sitting in my lap, I used to have his mother in my lap. And we used to walk up and down the block in the wagon and try to make sure that as a father, as a parent, as a homeowner, as a citizen, that his mother had the right to be able to walk streets safely. I believe he's going to be able to have that right to do the same thing. And so I just believe in trying to make sure that we have equitable policy. So in housing, I believe we need a fair share of housing. It is not fair for all of the opportunity housing to be concentrated in Ward 7. We need a wealth agenda. About 6-7 years ago, I did a workshop here, asked the Teens with a Purpose what they wanted in St. Paul's. They divided up into 2 teams. One team titled themselves Build Back the Block. The other team titled themselves Teens with an Opportunity. And they talked about owning the block. They talked about opportunity for children to gather like they're doing here right now. Those will be part of my priorities. Owning the block, owning the neighborhood, resident owning change, and for us to take a position of leadership and to make sure our voices provide the direction that the city needs to go.
That sounds amazing. So what's your vision for the arts and culture in our city?
So I'm a longtime supporter of the arts. Right there, down here, a block over, is the Martin Luther King Memorial. When my uncle was on city council, he proposed that monument in 1975. And as a family and as a community, we continued to work until we could get that large testimony to Dr. King. And really it was done because the idea was we need to have symbolism. We need to be able to have places where we can look up and see the presence of the African-American contribution, not just to this city, but to this country as a whole. I believe that arts is a significant contributor to that. For years over in Park Place on 35th Street, I have organized various arts festivals. One of the last ones was the Fusefest, Scholars, Arts, and Youth Festival. Teens with a Purpose has come over and participated in that. So I believe strongly in the arts, not only from the perspective of sharing knowledge, but also from the perspective as an economic driver for our city. What's happening right here at Fusefest is something that we need to continue to invest in and grow, not only from the perspective of trying to make sure that our children have the opportunity to have their talents in the art, but that they bring their talents home, that they become entrepreneurs, that they build and help to grow our city into a creative place where we can all economically prosper.
Thank you. At this time, I want to open it up for anyone in the crowd. If they have any questions.
You can step up to the mic. Go ahead and ask your questions if you have one, Mr. Rodney.
Don't be scared. Come on.
No questions, nobody?
Come on, step up to the mic.
We got one.
When it comes to the younger generation in this city, what is something that you care about most?
The question, if you didn't hear it, the question was, when it comes to the young generation, what is it that I care about most? Well, one thing you can see on my grandson's shirt is the right to read. I think education is extremely important. We have to make sure that our children not only can read exceptionally well, but that they have culturally affirming literature that uplifts them, that they see themselves in the books that we teach, that we are teaching the history that is accurate, that we deal with unhidden truths or deal with hidden truths and making them unhidden and discovering them. So that's one thing. I already mentioned earlier about being able to have, yes. Okay, all right, we'll let you answer in a minute. That we have safe and prosperous communities. It is unfortunate and it is really devastating, some of the things that our young people are exposed to. So I believe in something called the popsicle index, and that is the percentage of parents who believe that their child can leave out their home, walk to the corner store, get a popsicle, get a soda, get something, and come back home safely. So I believe we have to have neighborhoods where our young people are valued and that our safety and our economic policy, our education policy is geared around your growth and your prosperity. I believe traditionally, at one time, it was very much in our culture that you look for the children. Used this old saying, proverb that said, how are the children? And I think we need to get back and asking that question, how are the children, and making sure as adults that we're not selfish about our own advancement and not leaving things better for the children that are coming behind us. And I appreciate your question. Oh, and let me share one thing that you may not be aware of. So I currently serve on the school board. And on the school board, we have a youth school board member. That position of the creation of a youth school board member came as a direct result of Teens with a Purpose. I used to be the school board chair in Norfolk. We had a joint meeting with the community over at Ruffner. At that time, it was Ruffner Middle School. And Teens with a Purpose came, and I believe it was Malik Jordan who stood up in the audience and said, how do I get to be on that stage? And so it's because Malik stood up and asked that question that as a school board, we went back and said we were going to have a student representative to the school board so that your voice could be represented there. And so I believe not only do we need to continue to have youth representation or student representation at the school board, I believe we need to find a way to have a student representative on the city council as well. We need the youth voice. We need to hear that youth voice. Believe it or not, my advocacy first started when I was a teenager in high school. It was a march. Norfolk was resegregating its elementary schools. And there was a march at the time. I believe Jesse Jackson came in town and led a march from the zoo down to about to where we are now or to downtown. And I can remember that was the one time that I can remember my parents letting me miss school for something other than illness, and that was to be participating in trying to make sure that we all had equal and equitable access to education. So that's where I would start.
Okay. So anybody else got a question before we wrap it up? Okay, so oh, you got a question? Oh, step to the mic if you can.
Okay, so I know a lot. I'm born and raised in Norfolk, and I know a lot of, I won't say excuses or reasons why some of the people do the things they do. They say, that statement, I'm a product of my environment. So how do you plan to involve, I would say, the positive residents in our city in the decision-making process in our town?
Well, I hear that all the time. There's always been this question of whether or not, what makes a difference, nature or nurture, where you grow up or so forth. I feel blessed in the family that I was born into. but I've spent the last probably 30 years, but definitely the last 10, 15 years working on making sure that we have strong, healthy neighborhoods of choice. There's a program in this city that gets talked about now called Neighbors Building Neighborhoods. All of that came out of work that we led in Park Place. And the work in Park Place came about from us having conversations around, we were having crime in the neighborhood. We had young people who were being murdered in the neighborhood, and we decided we had enough. And we wanted to go about doing things differently. The housing authority came in and told us what to do. The city came and told us what to do. When we would try to fight for opportunities for the neighborhood, it seemed like we were always losing the fight. And the adults came together and said, we're not going to tolerate this anymore. We want to do something different. And so we worked together, had some real raw conversations like y'all have here at Teens with a Purpose about what do we value, what do we want, and what do we believe, and what are we prepared to sacrifice to get there. And so as your council member, I would work to grow that model, because at the core of that model, which I think the city has gotten away from, is resident ownership, and residents must lead. We have to shift the practice in this city where everything is top down. I don't like to see people coming down and begging council to solve every problem. We have the brilliance and intelligence in this room. We have the brilliance and intelligence in our community. And frankly, I think that in communities where we have some of the greatest challenges, we have some of the greatest brilliance, because if you can survive and thrive there, imagine what we could do if we have access to capital and access to opportunity. And so I would take that model, resident leadership, resident ownership, being a healthy neighborhood of choice, and having real conversations, house by house, block by block. What is it that we want? What is it that we value? And then be willing to go out and get it. But as part of that, you also have to have the conversations about what is it that you may be willing to lose in that process. And when push comes to shove, do you want it bad enough to have to sacrifice to get it? And I would work to lead us to have the mindset that we would want it bad enough and be willing to accept any sacrifices that are legal and don't cause harm, physical harm, in order to get there.
Okay. Well, we're running out of time, so I just want to give you the opportunity to say one last thing to the voters.
Okay. Well, voting is important. Don't let anybody tell you that it's not important. You can make a difference. But I want to go back to where I started with. It starts in our spirit. It starts in our mind. There's a verse that says that if you say it out your mouth and believe it in your heart and you do not doubt, it will be what you say. The verse doesn't say anything about it being negative or positive. If you think negatively and you believe negatively, we're going to produce negatively. But if you think positively, if you're serious about owning the block, if you're serious about wanting the best for your children, if we're serious about making sure that we can have prosperous communities just like anybody else, then I would ask you to think, as I'm thinking in my campaign, that this is our city and it's our turn. So thank you very much.
Thank you, man. Hey, I appreciate you for coming out here. Once again, this is Fusefest, sponsored by Teens with a Purpose.
Town hall.
The main purpose of the day, the mini town hall, the main purpose of the day, make sure everybody get registered to vote. So we're going to say it again for the people that didn't hear it. If you're outside, there's a place where you can go register to vote. Just give them all your information. You can trust them. They ain't going to do nothing with it. Go ahead and get registered to vote. And if anybody leaving that you need me to sign it so you can get a free meal, I'm over here. I'll sign it. Mm-hmm. The little paper, so you get 4 of the activities, you get a free meal. Y'all got y'all paper? Leon got his. I know you got your paper. I signed already, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Perfect. I'll sign them all. Yeah, I'll get them out the way. Yeah, go ahead. Get them.
Start getting into that stuff.
So Brady is sitting down. She's working on becoming a chiropractor. She's here in Norfolk, and she is doing behavioral health. So she works with young children that have IEP.
How to use information to actually do
I'm doing academy now.
Let her pick you up for a second. I'll take a picture. Or better yet, here.
I was studying last month.
Stand right here. Stay on the mic.
6 months.
I'll hold you so you don't fall, okay? mom. They got
That's some jerk shit.
Yeah, they had the jerk salmon.
Oh man.
Wrap. They got a jerk chicken wrap.
Thank you guys, man. I'll look for that. I'll support
Got
y'all.
your email.
What else y'all do outside of this, like private?
I'm also
We do live stream.
Okay.
We live stream.
I grew up in Virginia Beach. Yeah, so you know where the Home Depot is?
Basically talent in the 757.
There's a Sam's Club, Home
We
Depot.
don't charge that much right now.
It's called, we used to call it
It's in
Princess
a
Anne
big
Plaza area.
Like this right here, we do.
Citizens down there, Burger King. So I grew up
But like
back down that way in the
I got a
woods.
basketball game.
No, please, I think about Miss Scott all the time.
it depends on.
No, you weren't. She's the word of flowers and look out. And,
We did wait.
you weren't by yourself. Who else was out there?
I was the only child to my parents.
Okay.
But I had my cousins.
Your cousins would come right. Yeah.
August 31st will be 17.
Let me give you my number. You gotta find
You
me.
don't have my card or no?
I
Message. You want my number? Yeah. Text me. I might try to get her to switch it to me.
I do.
We gotta break down and go outside. I just realized I'm sitting here like I ain't got work.
How does it work? You know more about
should.